Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Darth Tyrax Presents. I'm Darth Tyrax, and on this episode, we are going to be unboxing and taking a look at Dark Troopers for Star Wars Legion. These are a fairly recent addition to the game, Star Wars Legion being a war game, miniature war game, similar to games like Warhammer 40k, Bolt Action, etc., etc. Obviously in the Star Wars universe. This is one of the heavier units for the Empire, but it is also from one of the shows recently, The Mandalorian. So they are androids, heavily armored, carry a lot of firepower, but I picked these up a little while ago, and I hadn't opened them yet. I don't get to play as often as I'd like, obviously, but I figured I'd open it up, we take a look at it together, and see how everything goes. So let's get started. So first we got to undo the plastic here. I don't want to do anything stupid and wreck the box right away, because I got to put everything back in after. And they certainly seal it up nicely. There we go. Get rid of some of that plastic there. Put that open. Go. Just toss that back there. So yeah, like if you take a look, you can see there's multiple units in there. They show you the different things on the back as well. So I'll get this opened up. So first thing we've got in here is the read this first, join the community, etc., etc., talking about different games. They usually give you a nice little art piece in there, so you can put it aside. I keep them. I just put them aside. They're really neat to have in that regard. Also, they give you everything you need for the game. So in this case, there are various tokens that they will use. These games, you always end up with a lot of tokens. But so there's aim and dodge and wound tokens, as well as the order tokens. They are a heavy unit, so you can only field so many of them. But yeah, they give you the tokens to come with it. Then you have your upgrade cards, which you get to add an additional trooper. Unidash, an additional, here, added an additional, here, I'll actually put my hand up behind there. Additional trooper. There's an assault cannon version. Missile launcher, and what looks to be a melee weapon of some kind, so he's be your close combat specialist. And then programmed loyalty. Interesting. Basically this card says only your commander can issue the orders to it, and no one else can. So that's interesting. And then there's the play card. And let's see what it says on the back here. Well, here's your play card. It has all your information on there that you need. But on the back it says, experimental battle droids deployed by Moff Gideon's Imperial Remnant. Dark Troopers accomplish their goals with massive strength and nearly impenetrable armor. Now, if you've watched The Mandalorian, you know that to be true. The blasters just bounce off, no problem. And the only thing that saved The Mandalorian was the fact he was wearing Beskar, because they were beating on him and everything else, and that's the only reason he survived. And it took him using his Beskar spear to actually penetrate the armor and defeat one of them. The only person that did better was Luke Skywalker later on, with his lightsaber just slicing and dicing with everything. Now these, they have plotting. I'd have to look that up. I don't know what I'm kind of out of the loop on some stuff. Unconcerned, they don't benefit from cover. Unstoppable, they can activate even while it has a face down token, apparently. It may never have more than one, but whenever you create your order pool, you add an additional order token corresponding to its rank in the order pool. So they're actually pretty good. Their weapons are range 1-3 with black, and they have red armor, so they're actually really tough to deal with. So let's take a look at what else we got in here. Okay, so we have our bases. So there are 7 miniatures here, so you get your bases for all of them, which makes sense considering there's the, I think it's the standard trooper, and then the 3 additional heavy weapons and whatnot. Get that out of the way. So now, what they've been doing for a while now are the miniatures are a little more like a standard kit. When they first came out, there was very few parts. That was one of the, I would call one of the pluses with the game early on, was getting people who weren't miniatures players to get in the game easily, quickly, however you want to put it. But with these particular now, they are more of a model miniatures kit, model kit, however you want to put it. So there you've got a bunch of arms and weapons and heads, where over here you've got your some of your bodies and more weapons and heads and whatnot to assemble everything. Now, there should be an assembly guide somewhere, because if there isn't, that gets very interesting. So let's see. There's no assembly guide. That's interesting. Let's see what we got here. Where's the assembly? Oh, okay. So I guess what they've done is, instead of printing off assembly instructions, you have to scan the QR code or whatever, and you get the assembly instructions online, which is an interesting way to go about it, considering everything else they already include. But all in all, these units are supposed to be very difficult to deal with, and they do seem to be. And then you've got your different units here, like I said already. I'll bring that in here. So you have all the different ones. There's the 4 standard troopers, as you can see there. They can fly by the looks of it, and actually it doesn't even show anything about them being able to do that, oddly enough. But it does give you everything you need to put them into the game. I'm not much of a painter. Usually for this stuff I get somebody else to do it for me. I don't mind assembling, once I have the assembly instructions, of course. But it's a pretty simple setup of stuff that, yeah. So you get everything you need to play the game with them, which is obviously what you need. But Legion is actually a really fun game. It's quicker than a game like Warhammer 40K, in that movement is handled better. Even attacking and defending is handled a lot better. And you know, most of these don't have a lot to it. As you can see, they're just a regular kit, which for me, it's not necessarily a feature. I was happier, even though they weren't as good quality, I was happier with the miniatures earlier on, where it was, you just kind of attached the arms and you put the head on and you were good to go, as opposed to a full-on assembly of what is essentially a small model. To me, the feature was the quickness at which you could get everything assembled and on the table. Now there's obviously a lot more work to it, but I can see why they would go that direction. It allows you to do a lot more variation more easily, whereas if you had to print off the arms and actually just have arms already done, or bodies and legs already done, it's harder to do a lot of variation without printing a lot of, or manufacturing a lot of extra parts that may or may not be needed, right? So I get why they went this route. I personally was disappointed, but I know most people were happy with it, and that's a whole that's a debate within the community of this game. Is, do you want simpler miniatures, or do you want something that's a little more customizable, or that can have a lot more variation without having to create so many additional parts? Again, me personally, I liked the way they were doing it, just because it was so quick to get stuff on the table. Now there's a lot more work to it. You have to carefully clip everything out, sand things down if it doesn't clip quite right, glue and assemble everything, where previously some miniatures didn't even need to have glue. You could just kind of fit them together and they'd be fine. But I am not a hobbyist. I am probably in a minority in that category. I play to play. That's what I am with most of these games. If I could just assemble and play and not worry about painting or anything, I'd be happy to play Grey Legions till the cows come home, because my interest is in playing the game, not the hobby side of painting and modifying and all of this stuff. So in that respect, it's disappointing that they're like this, because they are really a cool unit from the Mandalorian show, um, and that's just the thing. It's easier, obviously, to do it this way as a model kit, and it does look like it's not really a lot of assembly involved, um, by and large, because the legs, everything's like halves. So you put the legs together, you attach the arms, you put the body front and back together. Seems to be simple enough. I'll know better once I get the instructions from the website. But yeah, that's all there is to that. But again, they usually put them in a pretty decent box. Honestly, once you have them done, the cardboard that comes with it is a good thickness. You can use it for creating some custom buildings, walls, what have you. That's usually what I do, is I keep that. But everything you need's there, and by and large, the miniatures, from what I understand of late, because I don't play much of the newer stuff, clones and droids, they are actually pretty good quality. The units themselves are usually effective. They've been pretty good about doing points updates, and to make sure things are balanced as they go, or rebalanced as needed. But yeah, this is a unit I was actually really wanting, and I fluked upon it in my local store. They had a box, so I was like, yep, give me that, because I want at least one unit in my army if I can. So yeah, we'll have to I'll have to get it on the table and see how they play out. But by all accounts, they're actually fairly effective. So I'll wrap up there. That's the end of this episode, in which we presented and unboxed the Star Wars Legion Dark Troopers for the Empire. And I hope you found this at least a little bit interesting. Like I said, I wasn't sure what's in here. And as you could see, I had to get the plastic off. But yeah, that's all there is to that. So cheers, everybody, and may all your dice roll in your favor.